Hi, I'm Matthew Gibb, founder of Matt's Magic Detail Tech and the creator of the Pad King brand of ultra high performance polishing pads, and this is the first generation line that I have at the moment. And I want to go through in this video talking about each particular pad, what products you can use it with basically, and what each one is capable of doing. So this is my medium cut pad, and this has probably fairly firm density, but not stupidly hard, not very hard. I'm not a big fan of very coarse foam cutting pads. They tend to have very large cells, and which is not a bad thing for cutting, but not good for finishing. They tend to soften too much, some of them, and many of them just don't last that long. And they squeal when you use them on the machine sometimes, some of them, certain ones do. So I wanted to go for something that was more of just on the medium level. Figuring that most people, if they need more cut than that, they're going to go to wool or a microfiber. And obviously I'll be having some very interesting natural and synthetic fibres available in 2025 that will be very different and very interesting. So this pad, on this particular panel, this is a Toyota Camry panel. So basically, most Toyota Camrys from the last 7 or 8 years or so, or 10 years, you should be able to use this pad, do a one-step on it, and even on a colour this sort of medium level darkness, you should be able to remove the swell marks with that if it's not too seriously bad, and be able to finish up in one step and give it back to the customer, and they'll be happy with it. If you need to do any more refinement than that and get more colour richness and more clarity and depth, obviously you need to go to the green or the red or the orange. But it's a very good pad, very durable, and you can use it with pretty much any compound, any polish, a single polish system, and heck, you probably could even use a primer polish or an all-in-one. So that's the medium. Now, by far, the most popular, the most universal, the most versatile pad in the range is my green all-rounder, I call it. So back in 2014, I discovered the blue foam that is very well known in the industry now as the SDO/HDO blue by Lake Country. I actually found the original manufacturer of those who supplies them, and that blue foam was an OEM foam designed to be used basically all day at car manufacturers' paint plants to remove dust nib sanding marks in small areas all day long with just a few pads. It did soften, but it only lost about 40% of its density, and you could keep going all day. The only downside with it was had such tiny pores that it would finish very well, but it would clog up pretty easily as well. So this is my answer, my response to that. This is a pad that it has light to semi-medium cutting ability. It has the ability to basically do light cutting to semi-medium cutting, heavy polishing, and finishing in the one pad on a very large number of different paints that are out there, different types. I'm not saying you could do this and get correction out of this with a hard paint, or you can finish the most softest paints in the world with this, but this is very versatile. So light cut, heavy polishing, semi-finishing, finishing with the one pad, and unlike the blue, it actually does, it takes longer to soften, doesn't soften as much, and it finishes better, or at absolute worst, it will finish exactly the same as the blue pad, but usually it will finish better. So a little bit more cut, maybe 5–10% more, but its finishing quality should be as good or better, and it will last longer. And you can use that with great success with 3D1. You could use it with 510, 520, Sonex Perfect Finish, Labo Cosmetica Fiero, which is basically an adaptive abrasive technology polish that's got a primer in there, so you can wipe it off after you finish with it and put coating straight over the top. Mirka Gelson 00 Plus with it, which is a very strong compound. Or the Glisten range from Nick at Grace Chemicals here in SA, or Auto Shield in WA. Really good stuff. I've used it with just a heavy cut and left it with a glassy finish and no need to refine. Or the one step, perfect pad, perfect polish for this pad. So a great pad indeed, and highly durable, and I'm very excited about those. They're fantastic. Now the next pad in the line is my medium soft. So this has basically got slightly larger cell size than what the green does. So traditionally that means the pad has more scrubbing ability, so it means a little bit more cutting power, but it has a little bit less density than, still deep, very good density, but or firmness, or compression hardness is another term, but it does soften a little bit more than the green, so it finishes as good, if not a little bit better again. But it's a really great pad for doing one steps, and removing 3,000, 5,000 grit marks. If it's been sanded properly with good quality abrasives, it can do that in one step and finish out, no worries. And on black paints, a number of black paints out there in the soft medium to medium hard range, does a really good job at finishing out on those. So there will be some modifications to the edge profile for the next generation, but they will have this blue foam under them as well through generation 2. But a fantastic pad for doing one steps, or even doing a duo gloss, as I call it, where you could use the white then the red, or another pad then this, or this and then something softer like my gold. Now, one pad that's been, I suppose not everybody's purchased it and tried it and given it a go, but I really love it, is the semi-soft orange. So in the future this will have a different grade of foam under there to support it, but this is really good at removing 3,000 grit, very well done, machined, damp sanded, 3,000 grit, 5,000 grit, 8,000 grit marks, or removing small marks from your soft and soft medium paints, or using as an entry level finishing pad. I'll have another blue one. I have a blue one coming that sits between the orange here and my next one, or the next two. That is really nice as well. But this has got just the right density, the right sort of cell size to be able to perform some really good, light polishing to semi-heavy polishing ability. So not in the cutting range, so it's well below the range of cutting, but it's in the heavy to light polishing / finishing range. So a really nice pad, very durable, doesn't soften that much, and holds up really well. So I would tee that up usually with 3D1, 520. You could go with stronger stuff, of course, or the G26 finishing polish, Sonax Perfect Finish, Rupes DA Fine, Menzerner 3500 or 4000. Anything that's in that light compounding polish, or finishing polish, jeweling polish realm. And next up is one that's coming very soon, which is my gold pad. This is the Gold Universal, so even has my branding on the back. I'll be changing that to the Pad King next. But this has the spider cut design, 10mm interfacing, so it gives it good support, holds its shape if you machine wash it. This has the ability with Perfect Finish to achieve some incredible results finishing wise, but also actually surprisingly do some reasonable amount of defect removal. So with the Sonax OS0206 ceramic glaze, as I call it, or they call it, I've used these two together and removed pretty much all the swirl marks off of the soft medium paint, hardness paint on my dad's Land Rover Discovery. Just with these two combined, with Perfect Finish, you'd knock it out the park, no problem whatsoever. So a pad that is basically a finishing pad with bite, so it's got twice the amount of cut rate of a typical finishing polish, but the same finish. So very good. So basically a finishing pad that's got twice as much cutting, twice as much power. Most finishing pads pretty much are situated around about the 0 to the 1 to the maybe 2 on the cut scale out of 10. This is about 3.5, maybe pushing 4, maybe. But a very good pad, and the final version is coming out, which will be like this, coming out very soon. I will be doing the 3-inch version though with the 5mm black layer, because it's actually a bit too, in 3-inch, it's actually this size is actually too thick. So it'll be about 20mm, where this is 25. And my last pad at the moment is my purple Super Soft, which is a really nice jeweling pad, fairly close to what the CarPro Gloss pad can achieve. It's up there with that, or the Max Shine Red pad, pretty close to that. Very soft, virtually 0 cut rate, defect removal rate, but a very nice pad. And in generation 2, it's going to have the this white foam, or maybe the green foam under it to support that. So as this softens, because it is quite soft and not very dense, it will hold that up and prevent it from flattening. One thing I can't stand is pads that pads that basically, as soon as you put them on the machine, put the machine to the surface, they flatten. On rotary it's okay, on a random orbital it's not good for your finishing quality. It just doesn't work well. It wobbles in on itself and over itself and bends in on itself, and it's just not a good thing. So that's why I'm doing that. So this is why the dual density design is far better. So that is my current Generation 1 Pad King line, and I hope everyone who's used it so far is really liking them, and trust me, they will only get better. And this is a prototype of two different combinations of materials that I'm working on with a synthetic fibre that hopefully in 2025 will blow people's minds, and I will only be adding more prototype materials in 2025. So stay tuned.